Hi, this is Bill. So let us continue our lesson about using Flow Designer. And on this next recording, we'll discuss about application triggers. In ServiceNow, there's three out-of-the-box applications that you can utilize. And of course, as a configurable platform, you can add more. And since ServiceNow is always starting with a template, this is something that you can utilize straight away using the Flow Designer triggers. And at this example, you will see SLA task, inbound email, and finally, the service catalog. So in ServiceNow as a service management platform and who is continuously complying to ITIL processes, SLA or service level agreements is one of the major components of the technology. And as you can see in this example, in every priority one resolution should be done within an hour. And every incident on the target resolution, this workflow will kick off. So I'll give you an example so you could see it in action. So let us navigate back to the developer instance and let's go to service level agreements or SLA. And as you type the keywords on the top left on the application navigator, you can now move forward with SLA definitions. And let us drill down from the application menu to the content menu. So as we scroll down, you can see that the title or the name is aligned to what has been written in the article. And the table on the right is type incident, targeting resolution, and the duration is within 1 hour. So let's drill down and you will find out the components of this SLA definition. And eventually you can see that we are on a read-only mode because this is under a global scope. So if you're not fully familiar of the scope, you can watch my system administration course and you can find more details about the platform. Now to move forward with this editable version, we need to click here. And as we do that, you will be taken to this view where we can now edit the SLA form. So we will not drill down about the SLA itself since I have a separate video found also in my system administration. But what we're trying to portray in this example that you can attach any workflow when an SLA agreement has been triggered. So from this form, you can see that ServiceNow has intelligently give you the ability to attach any workflow. So as you click this lookup icon, let me change the view so you could also see the pop-up on my current desktop. And as you see that you can choose multiple workflows that you can utilize, which is published from the Flow Designer. You can easily replace it depending on the scenario that you have configured on this form. And you can also directly move to the flow by clicking this icon and moving forward to the record. And as we drill down, it will take you to this page that will give you details about the workflow. And as you can see on the top left, the triggers SLA task, and it will run the necessary actions and step and the rules regarding this service level agreement. So what is so powerful here, ServiceNow has already provided you the best practices that you can fully utilize and templates when an SLA task has been triggered. And to give you an example, one of the strengths here is like, as we move to the top right, you can copy this flow and publish it to the necessary application that you would like to utilize it. And eventually we're copying it from the global and now moving it to our application, Need IT as an example. So ServiceNow as a configurable platform gives you the ability to copy the template and edit it depending on your business requirement. So let's click copy. So what we have just done is we have kept the original, giving you the ability to make mistakes and redo depending on your requirement. So this is the best way of learning workflows in ServiceNow. It's learning from a mature workflow, which ServiceNow has created, and being able to edit it and read the examples which is already available for your disposal. So now building from scratch, right? So as we basically add another flow on this workflow studio, so by clicking the plus icon, now I could now create a flow. And let's say this is example SLA trigger, which will be sitting inside the Need IT application. So let us build the flow. And as we add the trigger, right? So you can now go to application and go to SLA task. And you can see the notice of the difference because this is not like the record driven. When a record is created from a table or updated, then the action runs. And as you add an example here, and as we move forward and create an action, let's say in every SLA task created, we will ask for approval. And as you can see on the right, automatically it adds the ask for approval step, which reflects the action also in the left. And as we do that, we can synchronize the data from the task SLA record and drag it to the left, get the dynamic data coming from SLA which has been created. So from here, it will give you the ability to configure the behaviors depending on the business requirement. And as we go back to the SLA form that you've seen earlier, so let's open a new tab and copy the URL, and let's navigate to service level agreements and moving to SLA definitions. Now let us go to the new button. And as we do that, you will see on the flow that it is defaulting to a default SLA flow. So now you can do a double asterisk and choose the necessary published workflows that you can choose from. So as you get your hands dirty and make yourself familiar on the ServiceNow platform, as you publish a workflow, in every SLA definition that you have created, your workflow will start to trigger based on the business requirement. Now let us go back to the article and move forward with the inbound email triggers. So we'll have a full lesson about the notifications and flow designer on how this application trigger works. So to give you a picture of inbound email triggers, the concept is the same. In every activity that an email has been received to the system, the workflow engine is intelligent enough to identify and start the necessary actions. And as we move forward to the service catalog trigger, this is similar to the SLA definitions, where you will be attaching the workflow to a service catalog. So let us navigate to the application menu and go to request management, or go to request, and under the request application menu, we'll be able to find maintain items, where we could basically create service catalogs. So let us redo that. So let's type in service catalog. So this is the request management module of ServiceNow. So under service catalog, there will be maintain items. And as we drill down to maintain items, all the service catalogs will appear for our viewing. And as you can see, these are the different services that a company may offer. So it can be an Axis, an Acrobat, Ad Network Switch, and so on. So depending on the business unit and what the business unit basically provides. Navigate to one of the examples, which is laptop. So let's say development laptop PC. And as we drill down to this example service catalog, you will see that there's a process engine, and inside the process engine, there's a flow and there's a workflow. So don't get confused on these options that you're seeing. ServiceNow has two workflow engines. We have the workflow editor and the flow designer. So the flow designer, which we are tackling at the moment, is the latest and greatest. And in terms of product roadmap, this is what ServiceNow future and currently supporting. And as we navigate to the top right to go to the correct scope, which is under the global scope, now it will allow us to edit and choose the correct workflow that will be attached to this catalog item. So I've made some examples also under my system administrator course, where you can basically see how the flow is utilized and how to create a service catalog together with the flow designer. But on this example, as we basically add a double asterisk, it will give you the ability to choose the service catalog flow that you'll be attaching to this catalog item. Now, as we basically move back to the flow designer and let us create a new one or do a search. Now, as we do a search, let us look for the service catalog request, if I'm not mistaken. So let us go back and search anything that contains service catalog, then apply, and let us change the typo to ensure that we are basically looking for the correct flow. So eventually we are on the tab of playbooks and we need to move to the flows and do another search. And let's say service catalog and do apply. And now we found this example. And as we drill down, you will see as we scroll up, that the trigger is service catalog. And from there, you have a live example as well that you can fully utilize. And as a technique, right, to speed up your learning, you can copy the flow. And as you copy that, save a lot to the SLA trigger that you saw earlier. Now you can play around and see how this is basically behaving as you attach this to a catalog item where you'll be running the flow. So the service catalog has its own behavior. So I also suggest to go back to my system administration course, right, to have a full view of how the service catalog structure is basically implemented. So as we create another example, as we go to the plus icon and click flow, now you can choose a trigger. So let's say sample service catalog. Under the need IT application, let's build the flow. And as we do that, we can now go to add trigger, go to navigate to application and choose service catalog. And it gives you now the ability to run flow in the background. So service now give you that choice, right, to have asynchronous calls or synchronous calls. So basically what it does is like asynchronous gives you the feature set of more advanced technology protocol, and asynchronous basically the ability to run activities or calls in parallel to other service catalogs. So this is quite a great advantage because it improves performance and great experience to the user interface. So I will not go deep on the asynchronous and synchronous calls since I have a separate topic on my developer course also found in my YouTube channel. Now, as you can see that the principle is the same. As you basically attach this service catalog trigger to a catalog item, then this is only the way to trigger this service catalog in attachment to the catalog item that you have created. So without attaching the service catalog that you'll be creating to a catalog item, your workflow will not be triggered. So conceptually, as you create one workflow, it can be attached to multiple catalog items. As an example, if you need approvals from a manager to a single manager, depending on the number of stages that you would like to initiate. So it is one creation all throughout the catalog item. So in this example, you have manager approval, request is canceled, department head approval, and so on. So these stages is basically reusable as you create a workflow and can be attached to multiple catalog items. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.